Chris Lynch News. Book your vehicle service online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
Well, Coastal Ward Community Board member Jo Zervos has decided to stand for council. Why on earth would you bother doing that? Well, let's ask her now. Jo, good evening to you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, hi Chris. Good to talk.
You're always out and about. You're very much a community-minded person. I always see you doing lots of wonderful things on Facebook. But the question is, why would you bother wanting to put your hand up for the Nutty House in Hereford Street, Jo?
Well, you know, I really love the community and working with the Coastal Ward, especially because I grew up there, fourth generation, and of course I've lived in Christchurch my entire life. So lots and lots of ties into Christchurch, and I'm really proud to live in Christchurch, but I'm frustrated as well about all the things going on, especially post-quake. We're seeing a lot of progress in some aspects, but where it's needed, it's not happening.
Where is it needed? What action's needed? What's made you think I've got to stand for council to advocate for the good people of the Coastal Ward?
Oh, there's lots of things happening, but I'm really annoyed at our roads and our paths and our traffic islands. Instead of repairing those, we seem to be spending more money on speed humps and raised platforms and cycle lanes, which I wouldn't mind doing those a little, but it's got way out of hand. You know, when it comes to consultation, people don't speak up about the condition of the roads and everything. They're getting these groups talking up and saying that they want these safety measures and they want cycle lanes, where in fact, when you put them in, then people start screaming out that they don't want them. So, you know, there's places for them, but also I think we should be checking and doing what we need to do instead of these actually additional things.
Jo, was there a defining moment for you, or do you remember that moment where you thought, that's it, I've had a gutsful, not only am I going to be part of the community board as, you know, the community board member, but I'm going to stand for council. Do you remember that moment?
My father used to be a councillor, and he did 2 terms in the late 80s, early 90s, and at that time I was working in his office because he had his own business, and I used to get a whole lot of papers and reading through there and a lot of phone calls all about council matters. So when it came to later in life, and of course you probably know that I did a lot of work with Keep QE2 in the east after the earthquakes, and the way that we were actually losing out big time in the east side of the city, that got me spurred on. And then I thought, well, I was happy with the representation we had at council, but I thought I'll stand for board and give it a go. So I've done 2 terms in board now, but I do still find it frustrating around the table that I actually quite often vote against what others vote against or what they vote for. So I see that at the council table as well with what's happening with, you know, the left side of the chamber. And I just find it frustrating thinking, why do they vote that way for? And the only way to get in and do something is to actually put your name forward and try to get in and do it yourself.
When you say you'll get frustrated by some of the decisions that are made by arguably some of the left, do you mean what could arguably be block voting, or is there specific examples that come to mind?
I don't know if it's as much block voting, but it's that collective way of thinking. And, you know, my thinking obviously differs from what their thinking is. So I find it at the community board as well. There's a couple of us that always kind of vote against the raised platforms and things, but we're outvoted all the time. So I think it's really up to people to support the way, your way of thinking. And if you're quite happy with the status quo at the moment, then carry on and vote for the same people again. But if you want a change, then do your homework and find out how they vote and what their line of thinking is, and then vote accordingly.
What do you think has been the biggest issue for Christchurch the past few years, Jo? With the exception of sort of transport issues, what do you think, maybe broadly speaking, what's the big issue for Christchurch?
Getting the wastewater treatment plant sorted out. You know, that we had that massive big fire, and that's making progress, thank goodness. But there's also, I think the garden city status has kind of gone out the window as well. There's just overgrown weeds and graffiti and vandalism and things everywhere. The city seems to be in quite a mess. And what I'm seeing is that we actually do all these nice improvements throughout the city and maybe put paving and some really nice aspects to the city. And next thing, they're just overgrown with weeds and not tended to. It's really basic stuff. But I'm really, really excited too about Paragori opening, of course, because I'm a pool lady and I have worked my other job in the council community facing for 32 years. So I hear all the people talking to me and the complaints and listen to them and the good positives as well. And, of course, with the stadium open, I'm very excited about that as well. So, there's things that are happening that I think are really positive for Christchurch.
Yeah, I agree. Right, I'll send you the invoice later. Just joking, this is not paid. Tell me, why should people vote for you? Give us your best pitch. No pressure, Jo.
I'm just a normal person. I've actually got a lot of experience with like when I left school, I went into office work. I did all office work, enforcing wages, communication with people, and also learnt how to run a business. And then I went from there working at a panel beaters to assessing cars and assessing damage and working with insurance companies. So I've learned all about what things cost and how they are charged out in relation to things as well. And, of course, I'm a proud mother of 2 fine young men. And they're only young, and I felt really sorry for that generation growing up because throughout the earthquakes, when the earthquakes hit, they were at school. These school kids got mucked around to school. Then they had COVID to deal with, and of course, all of the things that we enjoyed growing up, they haven't been able to enjoy the same. And there's a real bit missing in there. So I can relate to that age group. I can relate to normal everyday people, but also I've got their knowledge behind me. I've worked really hard with the community groups that I deal with, and I've got lots and lots of knowledge about the coastal hazards, which is a big thing coming up, especially in this area out here, and what the effects of sea level rise and everything will do with the city. And I say city because it's not just the coast that's going to be affected, it's going to be upstream up the rivers as well. And I think that knowledge of what happens with the coastal environment, I was part of the Banks Peninsula Coastal Hazards Adaptation Planning team that just went through and did that process, and that was really interesting and worthwhile. But when it comes to actually knowing the lay of the land, my husband and I have also got a land surveying business, and I'm really, really interested in how the land moves and the levels and where it's gone up and down or lateral movement. So, but also at my age, knowing which parts of the city were affected by the quakes and how they were affected. Is the land good or the land bad? And I think it's really good knowledge to actually take forward into the council.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you've sold me. Really appreciate your time, Jo. And I know it's been short notice, but lovely to speak with you, and all the very best.
Really appreciated.